Hello, movie lovers. Today I want to continue on with my revisiting of the films of 1972. 50 years ago, what were movies like then? How did I react to them 50 years ago? What do I feel about them today? And this month I'm doing Hollywood auteurs, and today I want to discuss a little bit about Sam Peckinpah's Junior Bonner, starring Steve McQueen. And McQueen is playing Junior Bonner, and he is a rodeo star. This is the present day. It's a Western, but it's a modern day Western, 1972 version. And McQueen is playing Junior Bonner, who is an aging rodeo star. We see him in the opening credit sequences being thrown off this wild bull in a rodeo sequence. In a rodeo show, and he's hurt by it, but he tries to cover up his hurt, and then he's on the road going back home to his hometown of Prescott, Arizona, which evidently hasn't been there in a number of years, and to reunite with his family, but also to participate in the July 4th festivities in Prescott, which include a rodeo. And he wants to reunite not just with his family, but he wants a rematch with this wild bull, the meanest bull in the rodeo, ironically named Sunshine. So this is a story about rodeos and the whole ritual and appeal of rodeos to people in this area of the U.S. But it's also very much a family drama. When he arrives home, he goes to the old family homestead, which is being bulldozed, and he looks over the family ranch that he grew up on, and he sees it being transformed into mobile home lots, which, as it turns out, is being built by his brother, his brother Curly. Who wants to take him on? Let's keep the family together. The rodeo days are done. Come work for me. Sell mobile homes. Mother and dad. He goes home to where his mother is living. She has an antique shop. Mother and dad are kind of have kind of up and down relationship. And his father is Ace Bonner, is not just a rodeo star. Junior Bonner was a star and is now aging, but his father was a legendary rodeo star. He even starred in a rodeo at Madison Square Garden. But nowadays he's sort of down on his luck. He has all these unrealistic schemes that his son Curly finances for him, but he said, I can't do it anymore. Ace's new plan is to go to Australia, but Curly's not going to come up with the money. So we get a rodeo story, we get a family drama, and we also really get a kind of documentary, not just of the rodeo itself, but of Prescott, Arizona, and the people there. Peckinpah includes long sequences of the 4th of July parade. Later on, where the whole community, it seems, goes to one famous bar in town. And the whole mood of the film is, and Peckinpah is using locals outside of the main characters. He uses his own kids in some of the scenes. And the bar room is sort of like a bonding ritual of the community. This is Peckinpah in his languid, slow-moving mode. This is tender Sam Peckinpah. This is not the Wild Bunch. This is not Straw Dogs. The ultra-violence is not here. There's a little bit of violence in where the brothers fight with each other, even though they have affection for each other. And then there's also a barroom brawl, but the barroom brawl is just played for comedy, and there's participants and then the onlookers enjoying the brawl, and then when it gets out of hand, the band plays the Star Spangled Banner and everybody stops and goes to attention. This is Sam's tender side, and he had shown it before. I mean, Ride the High Country, and also my favorite Peckinpah movie that he made a couple years ago called The Ballad of Cable Hogue with Jason Robards and Stella Stevens, David Warner. And Sam Peckinpah was often, I'm talking about him, saying Sam all the time as if I'd known him, but I just listened to the commentary, and the commentators all referred to him as Sam throughout it. That Peckinpah did think that The Ballad of Cable Hogue was really his best film, and he was often, with all this slow motion, ultra violence, almost balletic form to his bloody violent scenes. Peckinpah says, I was trying to show that violence is terrible, but the critics didn't see it that way. They thought it had this kinetic brilliance to it, and the editing, and of course, you know, action fans love to see people getting shot. So and none of that's here, you know. And we also have a very low-key performance by McQueen. It's one of his best roles, I think. And but this is not the McQueen of Bullet, and there's no great arc to the film as far as the bull, riding the bull, which in most films this would be a great melodramatic moment, you know, at the end of the film. It's just another scene in the film. So the film did not do well. Peckinpah was coming off, he had just finished Straw Dogs. Straw Dogs would be a hit in a couple of years before The Wild Bunch, and The Wild Bunch was a hit, so he was going strong. And McQueen, after Bullet, I think he made The Reavers and Le Mans, and both of those were trashed by the critics. Nobody wanted to see him, so he was in a very depressing place. So hooking up with Sam was a real boon for him, and in fact they would, in the same year, they would go right into making The Getaway, which is another 1972 movie that I'll be talking about. He was also, McQueen was also going through a divorce, and with The Getaway, he meets Ali McGraw, who he has a love affair with, and they become man and wife throughout the 1970s. Getting back to the, let's talk about some of the other stars in the film. And Joe Don Baker plays Curly, the brother, a veteran TV actor. He has a great role here, and he does well with it. He's Molly in Don Siegel's Charlie Varick, and then he has a big breakthrough kind of role in Walking Tall. Ida Lupino and Robert Preston, Hollywood royalty in the midst of all this. If I have one quibble with the movie, it's probably that the movie doesn't give Ida Lupino enough to do. She's very good in what she's given to do, but the movie does give a lot to do for Robert Preston. This is a really great supporting role at playing the father, Ace. Preston is sort of in the Music Man mode. If you've ever seen him in the Music Man, he's very much drawing on kind of that character, especially in his get rich schemes. And in going back to the family drama part of it, part of the film, the father-son relationship, the Preston McQueen scenes are just outstanding in this movie. And there's one in particular, one of the best scenes in all of Peckinpah's movies, where they ride away from the parade, and they're at the train station. We see a sea of railroad tracks. The horse that they rode in on is in the shot, in some of the shots, and Ace is trying to convince Curly or Junior to go with him to Australia, where his next get rich scheme. But it's a great moment of tenderness. It's not really sentimental, and as we learn in the supplements, it meant a lot. This scene meant a lot to Peckinpah because he absolutely idolized his father, but it also meant a lot to McQueen because McQueen didn't have any relationship with his father, and the crew members say that that McQueen was visibly affected by this scene. It's a brilliant scene, and in which Peckinpah uses something that his father did with him when he got kind of mad at him. He would flick his son's hat off, you know, and then go and pick it up. And so this is a side of Peckinpah that, you know, people don't, he's not as honored for this, you know, the ultra violence, the slow motion violence. That's what he's known for. I think he's much better at doing these kind of movies. But and then there's Ben Johnson. He plays the rodeo boss, and he's just coming off Last Picture Show where he won. And I'd made a video on a couple of videos back where he won the Best Supporting Actor. And he's the rodeo boss. You hear him in the background. I thought, as the announcer, even though he's in the foreground of the scenes, he's also playing the announcer. And in one of the shots, he comes riding in. He's being introduced, and he comes riding in to the circle of these rodeo celebrities at a furious pace. And it brings you back to mind Ben Johnson and some of the John Ford films from the 1940s, because Ben Johnson was part of John Ford's stock company. And he was a great writer. I think it's in Rio Grande, where the John Wayne Western, where he rides with one leg on each horse, and he was renowned in Hollywood as the greatest horseman. Of course, he's much older here and much heavier, but it's just a hoot to see him come riding out with such gusto. I also have to mention Bill McKinney, who plays Junior's friend and comes to his aid when he was injured. McKinney, I have to mention him because I did Deliverance a couple videos ago, and in that film, Bill McKinney, who usually played villains, played the mountain man Sodomite in Deliverance. So got a much different role here from Bill McKinney. He was a terrific supporting actor. And we get another, the dog here, who has a few good scenes in the film, especially during the rodeo. We learn in the commentaries that this dog is the grandson of Old Yeller from the movie from when I was a kid, Disney movie. So then we get some good supplements for this is a Kino release. It's sort of a special edition. So we get some good supplements. There's actually two of them. One is a long interview with Jeb Rosebuck, who wrote the screenplay, and he actually lived outside of Prescott, so this was a very, very personal kind of project for him. And he wrote a lot of Westerns in particular, though I think this is his first feature film, and evidently he was on set throughout the whole filming of them. He and Peckinpah really got on along very well together. And then in the other supplement, we get some sort of archival, but at the end of their lives, kind of interviews with many of the Peckinpah stock company, reminiscing anecdotes that they could remember, not specifically about Junior Bonner, but their relationship with Peckinpah, and what a strange and unusual man he was. L.Q. Jones, Ernest Borgnine, Bo Hopkins, Ally McGraw. Ally McGraw was not just in The Getaway, she was also in Convoy. And they get some great stories. Peckinpah was known to be very cantankerous with producers. One of his assistants was on almost all his films. She is also interviewed in the screenwriters segment, and in both segments, I believe. But and you see her right in the behind the scenes shot. She's there in every scene, right at Peckinpah's side, and how dedicated, how loyal, how he was. Peckinpah cantankerous with producers, but he inspired great loyalty amongst his cast and the crew. He had a vision. And this production assistant, I didn't write down her name, and she gives some tremendous stories. She believed that Peckinpah usually, not on Junior Bonner, but usually he sort of needed that animosity. It sort of fueled his creativity. So all in all, this is Peckinpah at not his most famous mode, but to me, it's my preferred mode of Sam Peckinpah, Junior Bonner. Okay, next up, I only have two left now. I think I'm going to do Alfred Hitchcock's Frenzy, and then finish up with Bob Rafelson's The King of Marvin Gardens. Okay, thanks a lot for everybody who managed to listen. I do appreciate it. Comments always welcome. Take care.